When I was a kid, I remember my mother impressing on me that if you watch too much TV, it's going to damage your eyes. I remember being like, what? Why does this happen? How much is too much? She was a little vague on the details. But TV was seen as this sort of negative brain rot sort of thing. But then video games came around, and that sort of took the mantle from TV as the negative technology piece we need to be afraid of. There's like parent groups and Christian organizations that were all anti-video games. They're ruining kids' lives and that sort of thing. But then cell phones came out, and people were all concerned about attention spans and screen time. It seems that every time we get a new interactive technology, there are groups of people, usually Christians, who kind of rally against it, who don't trust it, who try and get people not to adopt it. At least until everyone gets used to it and the next big thing comes along. And it seems like that next big thing is AI, artificial intelligence. A lot of people are scared of it. Others are excited by it. Many don't even really know what it is. So what is AI? Is this something we should be concerned about? How should we approach artificial life from a theological perspective? And what does the Bible have to say? Let's take a look.
Attention, bargain shoppers.
So, artificial intelligence. There are sort of two ways to view this. There's where we are right now at the making of this video, and then there's where we could hypothetically be in the future. And right now, AI has become a buzzword, ridiculously being thrown about in so many different places. I was on Amazon the other day and they were advertising AI glove warmers. So do not be fooled, this is not AI. What AI is, in a very basic nutshell, is what happens when you get enough computer power and you feed in enough data. When you do this, the computer can eventually learn to identify what's next in a sequence. This is how it's possible to write an 8th grade social studies paper. It doesn't really understand what it's writing. It's gotten really good at predicting what word should come next in a sequence. You show it a million pictures of a cat, and eventually the computer learns how to identify a cat. So you can give it a bunch of random pictures and say, which one is the cat? And it can identify it. The more pictures it has to learn off of, the better it's going to be at doing this. And the interesting thing about AI, which makes it different than anything that has come before it, is that from the start of human history until very recently, we understood how the tools we use work. You know, I may not personally understand every component of a vacuum cleaner, but I trust that somewhere out there, somebody understands each piece and part. There's a person who designed it and assembled it, and this person knows how the parts all combine to make the thing work. This is not the case with AI. There is no human person who understands exactly why and how AI behaves the way it does. The intelligence is an emergent property. All we really know is if you have enough computing power and you have enough data, it then becomes able to do stuff. Drive our cars, write essays, compose music, generate videos. The fact that it can do many things faster and better than humans can, and the fact that we don't fully understand the mechanisms behind how it does what it does, makes it a little bit scary. Which brings me to my first theological point. 2 Timothy 1:7 tells us, "For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control." Not really an AI-specific verse, but it's important to understand that we as Christians do not need to fear the future. Jesus reminds us in Matthew 10:28, "Do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell." However powerful AI becomes, it's never going to be more powerful than God. But it is likely going to become very powerful. In the near future, we can likely expect a barrage of falsehoods. Truth will become very difficult to identify. We're already exposed to a lot of this with deepfakes, AI-written news articles, chatbots. You've likely heard about this, but there's a scam going around where people use AI to recreate the voice of a loved one. So they can get like a little recording of your child talking, feed it into the computer, and then they'll call you sounding like your own child, and they'll ask for money or something like that, all made possible through AI. And this is stuff that's happening right now. And the technology is only going to get better from here. And it's going to become very difficult to discern truth, which is why it's going to be more important than ever to hold on to what God has told us, to hold on to God's word. John 8:31 and 32 says, "If you hold on to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." And then there's the long-term hypothetical. I don't know if artificial superintelligence is really possible, but it does make sense to me that we would eventually develop human-level artificial intelligence. I mean, our brains are basically computers made out of meat. So it's very likely that in the future, from our perspective at least, when we're talking with these AI bots, they will appear virtually indistinguishable from a person. Some might argue that we're already there, but I don't think so just yet, but it's coming. So with that, I guess there's two questions I would ask. Number one, is it morally wrong to create digital life? And number two, how should we feel and interact with that digital life if we do create it? And so for the first question, I would look to Genesis 1:27. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. So God created us in his image. And what that means is that we ourselves have the ability to create. He gave us imaginations, and he gave us the ability to take those thoughts and ideas and make them into reality. We also create life all the time with children. So this idea floating around that only God should be able to create life, I don't know that there's a whole lot of biblical support for that. But also, much like with children, we get to be involved in the process. But when it comes to actually imbuing something with life, that is beyond us. Psalm 139:13 reminds us, "You knit me together in my mother's womb." So whether it's true artificial intelligence emerging or a child being knit together in its mother's womb, we aren't really the ones making it happen. Only God can do that. Which brings us to question two, how should we feel about that? How should we interact with it? And I would say for that, whenever in the Bible there's a situation with a power dynamic, God always instructs mercy and kindness. Whether the Bible is talking about foreigners or widows or slaves, whenever we have a group that's isolated or at risk of abuse or exploitation, the Bible always instructs fairness and justice. Colossians 3:2 says, "Put on then, as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience." But Adam, I hear you say, the Bible instructs us to show kindness to other people. It's probably different if you're talking about something non-human. Well, let's look at Proverbs 12:10. "The righteous care for the needs of their animals." Well, so not exactly the same thing, but it does show God's heart. Even an animal, which is a lower life form, God said the righteous care for them. So it's definitely weird to think about, but it's coming whether we want it to or not. So I'm curious your thoughts. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Are you scared of AI? Are you excited about it? Do you have a biblical perspective that I haven't thought of? I'll also leave the verses used here today in the description. Please feel free to like and subscribe. It does help out the channel. My name is Adam. This is Bargain Bin Theology, and remember, you get what you pay for.